morning, everybody. I am back from vacation. Had a nice vacation. It is 8:10 a.m. Welcome to my channel. It is July 22nd. Boy, oh boy, the news, the markets, crazy. Biden drops out. Kamala's being endorsed. We had a market selling off pretty nicely as soon as I took vacation. Seems to always happen that way. But we came to kind of some key levels, and this bounce is no surprise a little bit. And you got some nice news this morning for some stocks, and we'll look at that for a second. We'll look at that in a second. Um, Pretty craziness. We got the VIX over 16. Got some nice volume. Volatility's back. So excited to see these markets this week. We can get into this. All right. So without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use volume profile, market profile to find structure in the market along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. All just helps me find structure in the market. It's my gauge, it's my roadmap, it's how I look at the markets, how I read the market, how I come up with scenarios. Every day I do this at 8:10 a.m. and hopefully you can join me. I can have a cup of coffee, relax. I give you the sum up of what's happening, what's moving the markets this morning, the news, what to look for the week, right? What is going on in the market, economic calendar, and around 8:30 a.m. we go over short and long scenarios for the Nasdaq and the ES futures, right? And then I use that in trade futures or ES or SPY or QQQ or SPX options, whatever I choose to trade with. But bottom line is, I make my scenarios live with you guys every day around 8:30 a.m. Okay, hopefully you can join me. All right, if you can, subscribe and set an alert. All right, that means I'm trying to build this channel. I've just got some nice subscribers lately, so hopefully they join me this morning. And you can give me a like if you like my content. You can wait for the end, and you can always follow me on X. That's at Gonzo719. All right. Let's get right into the futures watch list. All right, we're gonna get right into this. Here we go. Who's the leader today? And it's the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's been very weak, relatively weak. The rotation a little bit out of these stocks, but are they gonna get the dip buy today? I don't know. Right. So Nasdaq's up 0.95, ES up 0.58, Russell's up 0.54. 30-year bonds being bought should send yields lower today so far. Dow is up 0.13. Bitcoin is pretty much flat. 10-year yield, we'll look at that at 820. The dollar is down 0.09. Gold's down 0.10. Crude's down 0.69. Ether's down 1.03%. Silver's down 1.04%. And the VIX is down 1.76. Okay. All right, let's move on to the Mag 7 Plus. Boom. NVIDIA leading the pack. That 118 level is a key support. Believe it also hit the 50-day moving average in NVIDIA, so that 118 is getting bought off of. All right. And they also got some news about some new chips they're making for China, I believe. They're called B20, I believe. Regardless, the market's looking at that and loving it. All right, up 2%. Broadcom up 1.87%. All right, so semis getting love today. All right, Meta, I got a price target update. All right, I'm just really loving Meta. If you look at a chart, really liking Meta. It's up 1.55% already. I wish it wasn't up like that already, but that's what it is, right? And we got Google's up 1.54. They report earnings this week. AMD's up 1.52. So just like tech's getting love today. All right. Tesla's up 1.3. Elon Musk talked about the Optimus robots, how he expects by 2026 them to be in circulation. Coinbase up 1.25, Apple's up 1.18. Tech's really getting love today. Amazon up 1.13, so a lot of those up over a percent. Okay, Microsoft after that CrowdStrike debacle up 0.72. Snow is up 0.6. I mean, everybody's getting love. I'm really liking Netflix. Had good earnings. Took us some sell here. Took a little pullback to a key level. I'm also liking that. Berkshire Hathaway, GE reports this week. Boeing is up 0.18. They're having some good production in their 737s, and JP Morgan is basically flat. All right. Moving on to the top sector stocks. All right, we got Qualcomm. Semis, okay. Up 1.5. Eli Lilly had a nice pullback. They're up 1.25. Uber been decimated of late. That's up 0.61. Salesforce up 0.36. All right, let's go to laggards here now. That's not a laggard, really. The only real laggard is United Healthcare, which is rocketed to all-time highs, and now is getting a nice pullback, up 1.1, down 1.12%. All right. Now we can go to my swing trade list. Let's look at those together. Who's leading the pack here? Solar Energy getting some love today. For Solar up 3.47%, and Phase up 2.88%. Abercrombie and Fitch got an upgrade. They are up 2.26%. Tilray's up 2.23%. China is cutting rates. All right, so they're trying to spur their economy. They're up 2%. BABA's up 2%. Okay, ARM 1.87. Riot, Mara, the usual suspects with crypto or Bitcoin. What was that? Trade Desk up 1.5. AMAT, Semi, SoFi, Amgen up 1.42. Palantir's up 1.4. Vertiv up 1.39. Marvel, this is all the usual suspects here, up 1.34. SoundHound up 1.22. Cloud, is that Cloudflare? I always forget if that's Arista or Cloudflare. Supermicro Computers added to the Nasdaq 100. That's up 1.16. AI is up 1.15. All right, let's look at some laggards here. CrowdStrike. All right, they are going down. They got a bunch of downgrades today. Big debacle. Big debacle on Friday. Took down a lot of stuff globally. You can look at that two ways. Amazing how much they are involved in our world, which is, you could say, bullish, but then it also could be looked at as, wow, they're oversaturated and maybe people need to diversify. Very interesting there. Okay, very, very interesting. Celsius just continues to get weaker, down 3.49. Verizon, I believe, reported earnings. They're down 3.32. Hood down 1.75. American Airlines down 1.23. They're not. They are down. Look at that, $10 a share. Lennar, believe they got a price target lowered, down 1.21. Bank of America, I saw Berkshire Hathaway sold a bunch of their stock. Humana's down 1.13. What is that? Southwest down 1%. All right. So airlines not looking too good this morning. All right. Let's go back here. All right, we'll look at sectors this morning. There's going to be no shocker here. Semiconductors up 1.6, 1.56%. Technology up 1.2%. Heavyweight is the XLK. XLY is up 0.44. Basic materials. Is there anything of a laggard? Yes. Just energy. Just energy. Unbelievable, right? Well, you have all that selling, you're going to get some type of... What's up, Muhammad? After our talk on Tuesday, what did we say? Break 128, right? NVIDIA? Woo! Woo! Took a fall, right? Anyway, we can move on. All right, what I was saying is we came down to some key levels, okay? Expect a bounce. expect a bounce. All right. Now, let's look at a bunch of news, earnings. We'll get into all of that stuff. Okay, let me pull that up. Pull that up. We're going to go into a lot of stuff today. All right. Now, let's see what we have going on this week and today. Today's kind of light. We have Chicago Fed, 8:30. Tomorrow, existing home sales. Wednesday, we have a bunch of retail inventories. What do we have here? S&P Global Composite, new home sales. Thursday, there you have, what do you have? GDP, initial jobless claims. Friday's the big one, core PCE and personal spending. Michigan's consumer sentiment. That is Friday. So Friday's kind of heavy. All right, Friday's kind of heavy. Earnings. Earnings are heating up. Earnings are heating up, folks. Yeah, Muhammad, it's already bouncing. Um, so let's look at this today. All right, we had Verizon report this morning. We have Cleveland Cliffs reporting after the close. SAP tomorrow. Spotify, UPS, GE, GM, Coca-Cola, FCX, Lockheed Martin, Comcast, Philip Morris. All right, and then after the close, the big one, Tesla and Google, Alphabet, Enphase, Visa, Texas Instruments, Seagate, Capital One. So big earnings this week. Wednesday, Vertiv, AT&T, Nextera, Energy. Let's see what else. Boston Scientific. Wednesday, Chipotle, Ford, ServiceNow, IBM, Sands, Newmont, Whirlpool, Waste Management. All right. Thursday, American Airlines, AbbVie, Hasbro, Honeywell, RTX. Just a big earnings this week. Southwest, New York Community Bank, Keurig Dr. Pepper, AstraZeneca, Valero. I mean, the list goes on and on this week. Skechers, Texas Roadhouse, Deckers, Boston Beer, Lending Tree. Friday, what do we have? Bristol Myers Squibb, 3M, Charter Communications. What else here? Colgate, Palmolive, T. Rowe Price. Big earnings. Okay. So tomorrow, some nice heavyweights in the morning, and then after the close, you got that Google and Tesla. Okay. That's earnings for you folks. That's earnings. Now we're going to look at some news. All right. We're going to look at some news. All right, let's look at this. It's what I talked about already a little bit, but I'll rehash it. Nvidia stock rose after Rouge reported that chipmakers developing a version of its flagship artificial intelligence chips for Chinese markets that will fall online. That's what I talked about. Verizon stock fell 2.7. The telecommunications giant reported disappointing quarterly revenues. Here's what I talked about earlier. Stock rose. Tesla stock rose 1.1 after Elon Musk said the EV manufacturer would have humanoid robots in low production for the company's internal use next year, and he announced the rollout would be end of 2024. He actually said the rollout would more be like 2026. There's the Bank of America stock lost 1.3% after Berkshire Hathaway sold about 39.9 million shares. CrowdStrike is falling. We know why. Delta Airlines stock fell 0.7 after the carrier canceled more than 600 Sunday mainline flights, about 70% of its schedule. And it says more than any other U.S. airline as disruptions caused by the Microsoft outage persisted. That's about it there. Let's see if the juice is anything new. Not really. Let's look at upgrades and downgrades. Let's see if this came out. Okay, here we go. Let's do upgrades. All right, so let's look at upgrades here. Upgrades, Abercrombie and Fitch. What else here? All right, that's really the only upgrade I'm seeing to note here. Downgrades, let's go there because we got airlines taken. So American Airlines downgraded. Okay, CrowdStrike downgraded twice, downgraded 3 times. All right, they're not giving a price target. Let's see, price target from to 300. I'm one of them. You got Fidelity National Information Services downgraded. Lennar got a downgrade. That's about it there. We can go to price target changes, and um, we'll go to target raised first. I like to go to the raises first, and I'm only going to talk about stuff that matters here. Let's see here. End phase target raise. There you go. From 111 to 120 for solar. Target raise from 219 to 250. So, like in solar energy, right there. Nvidia target raise to 140. Procter and Gamble target raise to 161. All right, then we go target lowered here. Let's see some negative ones here. CrowdStrike target lowered to 310. Domino's Pizza target lowered to 500. Halliburton, Plug Power target lowered. That's it there. Let's see initiate coverage here. Let's see some firms initiating some coverage. Um, Lyft initiated at a hold. All right, and that's really all she wrote there that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to see here if I can find another news here. Let's see here. Just give me one sec. If there's nothing new here, there's nothing new. We'll move on. But I want to see it. Nvidia, talked about it. Talked about Delta. We talked about that. All right. Let's see if there's anything else here. Talked about Boeing and their 737. Let's see. Like I said, I'm just looking here for something that I haven't talked about. All right, let's see what they're saying about Meta here. Meta, some external vendors that police content on Facebook owner Meta's platforms were affected by the global tech outage that crippled airports. Okay. All right, that's that B20 chip I talked about. Nvidia. See, talking about that B20 chip for China. That's about it there, folks. All right. We don't have to talk about this. We can move on. We're going to go to daily charts. Let's do that. We can talk about the daily charts. I got a lot of notes I wrote for the week from the weekend, analyzing this stuff. All right. Maybe I can expound about what you're asking at the end. Right now, I want to get into this information here on the SPY. All right, so looking at the SPY, right? All right, couple things here. There's a lot of stuff with in the futures, and we can just look at it here. Okay, you got this trend line, number one here, right from here. You got a touch here, and it came right to that trend line. Okay, also like 550. Okay, it was a key resistance, came back to it. Also notice these whites on my charts are previous months highs and lows. So that's June's highs. Okay, it's a bunch of confluence there, and you got that little wick. Okay, so you closed underneath the 20-day simple moving average. Okay, and you came right here to the top of this level. All right, and the trend line. So no surprise there where it came down to. All right, where are we at now though? 555.70. I mean 552.70. Okay, so let's look at that. Where is that? 552.70. So we are at basically the open of Friday. Okay, we're in the upper third of Friday's session. Okay, here is, now notice where the SPY sold off. Now these levels are not last week's highs and lows, they're the week before. But just notice how that tipped right there is where selling commenced. Okay, so interesting, right? Because this was a key little level here around 55, 54. I think that's a line where the market might stop this buying. We don't know. I don't know yet. I'm just saying. Okay, got a little downtrend here that's lining up with that. Okay, let's look at the futures. Okay, so in futures, you can see what we're doing. Okay, pushing up right here as we're speaking. Right, so you're inside Friday session. Okay, so really, it's all about what are we going to do if we hit Friday's highs. Really, it's really what's going to be about. Okay, so that's just a live representation of what we're seeing right now. Okay, so that's the ES, and that's the SPY. Let's look at the Qs. Qs also came to a trend line. Okay, you can see this trend line is multiple touches. Okay, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Came right to it. No surprise. Okay, no surprise at all. And you got support right here, 474. 474 support, not a surprise. Okay, not a surprise at all. 50-day moving average right here, hasn't touched it yet. It's at 470. It's going to keep rising, so that could turn to 471. All right, so you had some nice selling here. Okay, 2 days, gap down, right? And then sold 3 days of selling. You're due for some little bounce, so that's not a surprise. Okay, where are we at now? 480.60, let's say 480.60, 480.60. We're right here. We are at the upper third of the session on Friday. Okay, like I said, this is expected from all the key levels that the market's hit. Very expected. Now let's look at the live version of the futures. You can see here we get a little closer. We're heading towards these highs of the previous session. Okay. Now in futures, look, the 50-day moving average is a little closer. Okay. And if you look to the left, that is a lot of support there in the Nasdaq right here at this level around the 197.24. Very key support. If you look to the left, right, look at that support. Right, support is never exact. It's an area. Okay, it's an area. This is an expected bounce. This is not surprising at all. This does not mean that selling's over. It just means that you don't go down forever. Right? You don't go down forever. All right. So those are the two main markets I look at. All right. Obviously, the IWM had a nice run. The Dow had a nice little run. They kind of popped up and kind of pulled back to where they broke out. All right. So now we're gonna get to the triple-headed monster here. We have to look at that bond market. Like I said, yields should be lower today. They are. So let's look at that together. Okay. So bond market still doesn't know what it wants. All right. We're in this little range right here. We're right here. Now, we real quickly go to the futures watch list here. You can see 10-year yield is down 0.47, down to 4.2 yield. Okay. That's because the bonds are being bought today. All right. So, like I said, this still is a support 4.14 yield here. You lose that, you go down to 4.03. Okay. Now again, this is the triple headed. This is part of the monster here. Okay. This is still, they don't know what they want yet, the smart money. All right. So let's look at the next head of that monster is the dollar. The dollar also hit a key support level. Okay. Tried to break this 103. It did, then got bought right back up. Okay, got bought right back up, right at the 200-day moving average. Kind of can look at this as maybe a double top looking thing, right? We have to see. Okay. The weaker the dollar gets, better for equities. The weaker the dollar gets, the better for equities, the better for commodities. Stronger it gets, not good. Okay. Same with the yields. Same with the yields. The lower the yields go, the better for the markets. Okay. Now let's look at that VIX, and that VIX was dead. Was dead for a while. All down here, then boom, right up. What did I kept saying? Above 15. Above 15. Okay. Currently at 16. Currently at 16. Now, what is the VIX? The VIX is 30 days out of fear. 30 days out. So this is a month out. Okay. Now let me explain one more thing. A 16 VIX implies a 1% move in the S&P 500. So a 32 VIX would be a 2% move. So a 16 VIX brings nice volatility into the markets. You expect a 1% move. Okay. So the VIX today is falling a little bit. But as long as we hold over 15, 16, you're going to get some nice volatility in the markets. Really nice. Okay. Now that's triple-headed monster. Okay. Now, why don't we get into now one thing? Maybe I do a little bonus here. Let's see here. Really quickly, maybe I'll gloss over sectors here. We'll just look at important sectors here. All right, so semis. Let's just look at what's happened. Okay, we're gonna look at just some semis here. This is look where it came down. It passed the 50-day moving average, right? It came down to this level of like 248. Now it's bouncing, right? It's at 252 right now. So that's semis. Now technology. These are all been weak, right? Look what it came down to. 50-day moving average, right? And this little gap here. Filled that gap. See? Filled that gap. So these are the heavyweights, okay? These are two sectors that finally had some selling, right? Due for a bounce. Discretionary, hit the 20-day simple moving average. Discretion, that's your Tesla, that's your Amazon, your Home Depot. Okay? Financials. Had a nice breakout right here and pulling back. Now financials, here is the commonality between, let's say, the Dow, the IWM. Their charts mirror financials, industrial, staples, and healthcare. They all had a breakout and pulled back. And you'll see what I'm talking about. So there's financials, right? Let's go to industrials. Same looking chart. See it? Broke out, pulled back. Right? These were what moved the Dow and the IWM. Staples, look, moved up, boom, broke out, pulled back. Healthcare, with the help of United Healthcare, boom, up, pulled back. Right? So they pulled back to their like breakout levels. They all did that. All those sectors I just talked about. Okay. Now let's look at communications. Communications, look what it did. Pulled right to this trend line, right to a key level of 85. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I expected a bounce. They've all came to key levels. All right, all came to key levels. Okay. All right, makes sense. Now we can move on to the main event. I'm giving you some extra here. So let's go to that profiles, okay? And get right into the profile, right into structure. See what we have going. Like I said, I don't really look at this until I'm with you guys. Let's look at this together. Here's my best friend. The way I love to look at the market. All right. Lots of selling, lots of single prints when I was away. All right. Let's look at this together, okay? Because there's a lot of key levels here. A lot of key levels here. All right, now let's look at, first thing we look at is the structure and the composite volume profile, okay, on the right here. This is the rolling weeks profile. So you kind of have like some distribution here, right? Large volume here. Then we have single prints here, which is, you got the low volume. Then you got another distribution here, all the way up to here. Very ugly looking profile. Basically a double distribution over the last week. Okay, double distribution. That's what you have going on here. Now, 5,700 was your most traded price of the week in the real-time trading hours, right? This should move down to here, which 56, let's just call it 5650 right here, will be probably today switch down here to 5650. Now you have a new node, okay, right here around 5592. You can see this is getting built out right now as we speak. This could easily be taken over right here. Now what does that mean, right? Well, if value is currently up here and it moved in the 24 hours to here, but we're moving down here, all you need to do is bring value to here to price. If value follows price, right, and you start to create new value here, that's bearish. Okay, that's more bearish. You start establishing value here and you're kind of holding these prices lower. It means the market's accepting prices lower. It doesn't mean that we're going to be in a bear market. That's just structure. Okay, that's just structure. Okay, so now that we have that established, now one other thing to note, okay, one other thing to note is 5533. Now you can see this level on my chart right here. This turquoise box is the most traded price of the last month. This is why I have these levels on my chart. Okay, this is a composite high volume node, and the market stopped right above it. It's not a surprise. That is not a surprise at all. Okay, so that's a very important level. It's kind of your bull bear line, to be honest with you. So write that down, 5533. That's a monster level. That's going to be very hard for the ES to get through. It's going to take a lot of cracks. Okay, now let's talk about what we're doing now. Right here we're at 55.89. Price is right there. Okay, now you're nestled inside Friday's highs, Friday's lows. Okay, so here's your overnight high, here's your overnight low. You're inside Friday's session. Not the best place to be. Okay, but it makes it easier on doing a scenario. Okay, now overnight inventory, let's look at that. Not the biggest edge there. So you opened here, you had this much short activity, this much long activity. I don't really see an edge in that. Okay, now let's look at levels. What levels can we look at? What level? Now I'm scanning right now for like confluence. I see it right now. You have a supply zone right here. Okay. Also, you have the 20-day simple moving average right here in the futures, that blue line. 9 EMA daily is the yellow. Okay. So they could act as a resistance. That's one. You have a supply. That's three. You have an overnight high, 5607, lining up with Friday's highs right here. So this is your level, 5607 to 5604. Sellers have to defend this. We're in supply right now as we speak, in supply. Okay. So this is the level. All right. For bulls, for bears, you got to defend it. For bulls, you got to take it. So if you want to conquer land and your bulls want to conquer the bears' land, you got to come, take that land, establish yourself there, then you can move higher. But if you can't, just take that land and you get defeated, well, you could start to roll over. Okay. Now, let's go over the story of the market. Okay, we just came off from here, fell all the way down to here. Okay, so you have some selling. Okay, sometimes things need to take a rest. Right, this bounce is predictable, a very predictable bounce. Okay, so what I would suspect happen today would be rotational rangy day. This is what I would think that's going to happen. Okay, most likely, it doesn't mean it has to. I think we do this. That's what I'm seeing more than less. Probably what would happen is what's going to happen. I don't see outsized moves happen today. Can it? Sure. But I have to think of probabilities. Okay, outliers happen all the time. I can't control that. Nobody knows when the outlier is going to happen. Okay, so we have some levels here. Now, what I want to make sure you know as well is the most traded price. This is very bearish here. Was at the lows. That's usually very bearish. 54.48 around. Now, this doesn't surprise me. Think about this. What do you think we're in here? Longs or shorts? Probably shorts, right? And what's happening now? We're opening up and we're pushing up. So, if these are futures traders, you could cover. Right? So, not surprising. Now, let's look at our scenarios. Let's get right into it. Okay? Let's get right into it. It's going to be pretty simple. Of course, this was our volume profile, market profile. And now we're going to get into the ES scenarios. Okay? Pretty simple today. Pretty simple. All right, so areas to defend, right? So sellers are in control right now. Okay? So, we're going to talk about a bear scenario. It's very simple, went over it before. Okay, but let's look at confluence. That's what I like to look at. That's why I have a lot of things on my charts. Okay, 20-day simple moving average in futures. You got the 9 EMA daily. That's overhead, right? That could act as resistance if I didn't have anything else on my chart, right? However, we know Friday's high is here, and we have a supply zone, and we have an overnight high here. So this area is a place for sellers to defend. Okay, we also have monthly VWAP here at 58.26. Those are all things that each individual trader might look at. Okay, so when we come up with a scenario, there's a lot of overhead supply here. We do have single prints right here. Okay, now this is emotional selling. All right, you see this little pocket of no volume really? That's what this is. Okay, you happen to have the monthly VWAP right in the middle of it. Now, let me explain this to you. If the market's super strong, it should take it right out. However, if you get resistance in these single prints, that is very bearish. Okay, so now we're going to go over scenarios. What could happen? Okay, so I'm going to say this area is, let me make this area with the monthly view up in it. That seller's got to defend that. It could be a bull trap as well. Could be a bull trap as well. So what I want to see, all right, let me see this market open up, push up, and see what it does. It could definitely come up, not even be able to break Friday's highs. You get lower high, and we could go and sell off right into this demand, maybe even nip the most traded price of Friday. Okay. Now again, this is where price action gets really tricky. Okay. It could also come up here. This happens, right? You're gonna push into these single prints. People might be thinking, "Oh my God, I want to buy this dip. The market's gonna take off now," and they don't know that we're in single prints, and they don't know monthly VWAPs right here. If we tag that monthly VWAP and start to do this, oh, that's very bearish. That's very bearish. If you don't take out single prints, it's very bearish. And then you can start to do this. And like I'm putting in my scenarios, I'm not putting all out sell-offs because this large level down here will act as support. I think we're in for a rotational day. Okay. I'll be very shocked if we take out this level. Anything can happen though. This is really all I'm looking at. Those two scenarios for the bear. Okay. Hopefully it makes sense to everybody. Now, for the bull. For the bull. All right. Two things here. We got the weak high here. Right here. Okay. They need to break this. Okay. They need to break this. So if we do come up here, like I said, take that land and hold it. Hold it. If you hold it, okay, and this market's super strong off the open, you could take out those single prints. Then you got more single prints. You could take out those. Now you're in supply, right? And around the most traded price of the week. You probably get slowed down here, but this would be a nice move. Okay, you take off some froth, all right, of the selling. Now, let's look at the next scenario. All right, what if the market, right now we're getting some selling a little bit, comes down and pulls back into here, this demand zone. Okay, and remember, these zones are like zones, and they're not always completely accurate. What I could see also happening is a little bit of a bear trap here. You can come in here. Let's just say you could definitely hold this and then get bought up, and then I feel like we do rotation, right? But you also could just boop come down here, hit the most traded price of Friday, and then sellers try and try. You get lower highs, and then you just rotate. Okay. Now the one thing that could happen also is you just come in, drive down into this most traded price of the month. Nobody knows this is the most traded price of the month. They're not gonna know, right? But we know 55.33. If you come here and there's demand right here as well, you could bounce up. All right, so that's what I'm looking for. All right, that is your ES. All right, let's move over to the NASDAQ. Let's see how different this looks. Like I said, I'm not saying it's different. I'm just saying let's see how different it looks. I'm going to make this a little smaller because there's some levels I want to talk about here. And there's a lot of single prints in this NASDAQ, boy. My God. All right, let's look at some of the price action overnight. We'll just split it out here. This is what we did overnight. We kind of pushed up, pulled back. Now this white line here is the 50-day moving average in the futures, the daily, right? So it came right back to that 50-day moving average and got bought up, right? Right into supply. That's what we're doing overnight, okay? So profile, market profile is all it is, 30-minute bars, and then it gets collapsed. That's all it is. It's not nothing crazy, okay? Now, we do have the same setup. It's pretty nice that we have this. They're pretty equal. Okay, so I'm gonna expand this out. and show you guys what I'm looking at here. Let's expand it out a little bit. Okay. Now, normally I look at the whole profile, but the NASDAQ moves so much. The profile starts way up here, but let's just look at this, okay? We got distribution, distribution, double distribution, basically here and here, right? We did come from ultimate balance. Ultimate balance is the most traded price of the month and the week are up all the way up at like 206.25. Yeah, around there. Okay, all the way up there. That's why this huge move happened. I mean, I wish I was here when we were in ultimate balance because, boy, I love those trades. Okay, that's why we moved so violently down. Okay, it's not a surprise. Not a surprise at all. However, the 24-hour session has moved down the price to here, the most traded price of the week. That is like 20055, 20055. Okay, price is here. So we're in bearish posture. Now, one other thing to note here, 20,000, this level right here, was the most traded price of the month. Still a large node. You can see it right in here. So that's pretty much, you want to stay under that if you want to see the bear succeed. Okay. Now, what we have here is the same setup. So I like it. I'm just going to give you different levels. So we can get right into it. I don't have to really talk. I'm just trying to see if there's any other nuances here. Not really. Okay. Now, the one thing I want to know, why did the NASDAQ bounce? Well, there's a big gap here that's unfilled. And it couldn't fill it. Didn't even touch into the gap. All right. It's a big gap that it didn't fill. Now, could it get filled? It can still, right? So here's the NASDAQ right here. Price is right here, 199.08. Okay. We're in the same posture as the ES. Look, Friday's highs, Friday's lows, Friday's highs, overnight highs, overnight lows. We're inside Friday's session. All right. Now you are a little more net long in the NASDAQ. Look, that's the only short activity in the NASDAQ to this much long. So you're about 90% net long. All right. 90% net long. You can see the volume starting to thin out a little bit. Okay. What else do we have? We have 199.79 is a week high right here. Overnight high of Thursday session into Friday morning, and Friday's high are equal. That is a week high, confluence high. Okay. This is also the stuff that I talked about in the ES, right? That has that week high. Okay, so what do you have right above it? Look at that. You have the most traded price of the month. That used to be most traded price of the month right here as well. 20,000. Right? Sellers just have to defend this level. That's the job of the sellers. Defend that. Defend that level. Okay? That's all they have to do. What do the buyers got to do? They got to come up, push up, and hold and hold and hold in order to try to go higher. Okay? But sellers are in control, right? And when I say that, doesn't mean of the overall market, because bulls are, right? But right now we're talking about day trades, we're talking about intraday stuff. Sellers are in control. Okay. Now, why don't we look at that level? We know that's week high. Of course, what do we have to look at? Look, the most traded price was down here as well at the lows. This is why we're getting that bounce. Okay. And you got the gap below us. So buyers need to defend that. Okay. Buyers need to defend that. Okay. So pretty easy. Okay. Let's get into the scenarios. Okay. Oop. Sorry about that. What the heck? Hold on, guys. All right. Let's get into NASDAQ scenarios, and it'll be very quick with this one because it's pretty similar. Okay, we're going to start off with the bearish one. All I'm talking about is that 199.79 level and the 20,000 up in here. Sellers got to defend this area. Have to defend it. Okay, so what can happen? I can see definite push up, And what could happen generally sometimes at these weak highs is you get a little boop, and then that could become a bull trap. And they don't know this large composite high volume node is here, and you can get some lower highs, and then this could take this froth off, and you can work yourself down. Okay. Now, of course, it could fail here as well and roll over as well. It's really all I'm looking at. It's really it, right? Because now you have some froth. Okay. It's really it. All right. Now, as far as the bulls, what you got to defend? Overnight lows and these highs and this gap down here, and the 50-day moving averages here. So, first, let's see if we do get this move down. Can this be a bear trap? And we hit the most traded price of Friday. We kind of push down. If you get some higher lows, I could see it coming back in here and be rotational day. Okay. Now, secondly, what can the bulls do? Remember, I said you want to take that land from the bulls, from the bears, bulls. You need to take this out 20,000 and hold above it, hold in order for you to try to go higher. I think that's going to be kind of hard. Okay. But it could happen. But this is all I'm looking at, folks. This is it. But the bounce is I expected. This is expected bounce. Okay. I think that wraps it up for today. All right. Got a little long-winded. I gave you some bonus of the sectors. All right. I was off from Wednesday through Friday last week. I missed all that selling, but now I'm back. Hopefully you guys understood. Again, always ask me a question or a comment. Muhammad's been very active here, and because I have to start doing my gamma levels. So what I'm going to look at is what he asked me. May I ask, how can I... Oh, no problem, Jason. He asks, may I ask, how can I eliminate the greedy style? Because that, a lot of the time, it reaches the target. Then I expand the target more in some time as well. I do this when stop loss. Not really sure what you mean by there. Trading's hard. It's really hard. So, what I would say to just, I don't fully understand it, but let's just say this. Have a system. That's it. Have a system. All right. Have plans. Okay. And I'm constantly changing mine. All right. But now, once you establish a system, a process, and it's going to be your own. Okay, what that does, and let me explain it, because this is a journey of a trader is very hard. Okay, because let me explain this. If you don't have some type of system, some type of process that you follow, and you don't repeat it, right? Then your trades are random, and then you don't know what to do because you're always second guessing what you do, and it's a mental. It exhausts you mentally and emotionally. Okay, I've done this a lot of times. Okay, I've been there. Okay, it's very hard to try to do things off the hip, like without a process. Okay, because what happens, and I know who's ever trades will understand this. If you don't have a system, and let's say you're like, oh my God, I should have went long there. I knew that would have happened. And then the next time you do that, it's a loser, right? Because you don't have a system. You're just kind of like thinking off your hip. Then if you have a process and a system, then you can look back at it and go, okay, let me change this because this isn't working, because now there's something there that you can fix. But if your stuff is all over the map, you have no system, you have no process, you have nothing to correct. You don't know what to correct. You're always second guessing your last trade and you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. When you're in that mode of damned if you do, damned if you don't, it makes you hesitant for the next trade. It makes you just all over the place. So that my recommendation is just try to find a system. Try to find where you're going to take profit. Hey, have a profit target. Hey, if my first target doesn't get hit, what do you do with your stop loss? Right? Hey, let's say if you take your first target and you move the next one, your process is I move my stop to break even. That's your process, right? And I don't tell anybody how to trade because there's so many ways to skin a cat. There's so many ways. You could scale in, you're all in, all out. Me, I like to scale out of my trades. I like to take risk off, but that's very discretionary. That's like all based on what I see. So, all I'm saying is have a process. It solves a lot of things. All right? It solves a lot of things, a lot of second guessing. And another one other thing, and it's the hardest thing I had to do is be okay with having a mental trade and it like working, but you're not in it and just don't care. Or having a setup, your setup come, you want to get long, let's say, and it's there, and you're thinking like, oh man, but it doesn't set up. It doesn't really give you your setup, and then it goes. You can't care, and that took a while for me, and it's still something I work on. But it took a while for me to actually think like that, to not think that every move, if I'm not involved, that I made a mistake. But it wasn't part of my process, so it's very important. Okay, I got sorry for the long-winded explanation. All right, I just maybe you get some nuggets from that. Like I said, I'm a trader in my own journey, and trading's hard. So I'm not just sitting here and telling you it's not hard. It is. It's very hard mentally. It's you versus you. Okay. So everybody, please, if you haven't already, subscribe. I was a little long with it today because I came back and I wanted to give you guys some nuggets. All right. So if you haven't already, all right, please subscribe and set an alert. Okay. I'm hoping to get this thing to 200 subscribers. All right. So, and please, if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up or a like. And as always, you can follow me on X at Gonzo719. I'm going to continue to try to do some more trading videos. I'm going to try to do some educational videos. I know if you guys have any advice for me, maybe you're like, hey, I don't understand this. Let me know what you don't understand. I'll do a video on it. Okay, because I know some of the stuff I talk about is not like candlesticks and it's not like basic. And I know probably that stops from people joining my channel, but I just love this, the way I look at the market, because it gives me a roadmap, right? So anyway, everybody have a great day. Stay green. All right. I'll see everybody tomorrow.